Welcome to Inside the Canopy Files, a production of Canopy Realtor Association in Charlotte, North Carolina.
Canopy Realtor Association is a trade association that promotes the value of realtors to the consumer, as well as the dream of homeownership. The association, with guidance from Realtor volunteers, also provides tools, education, and resources for members and subscribers, and takes pride in our own Canopy Housing Foundation that is actively improving the communities where we live, work, and play. I'm Charisma Sutherland, 2023 President-elect of Canopy Realtor Association and Canopy MLS. I'm also a realtor, broker, general contractor, and active volunteer in my association and in the community. I believe in servant leadership, and I am thrilled to talk with my fellow colleagues and realtor leadership today why we volunteer at Canopy, and more important, why realtors should be involved in their industry. The definition of volunteerism is the act or practice of doing volunteer work in community service. But volunteerism doesn't have to be restricted to the action it describes. Volunteerism connotes a mindset or a philosophy. It can also mean an attitude or a service or willingness to give back, and in doing so, to make the world around you a better place. As it turns out, volunteerism doesn't just help the organization, population, or community on the receiving end. Volunteering can have an amazing benefits for the volunteer, from facilitating connections and improving social relationships to providing a sense of purpose and meaning. Professionally, there are so many other benefits when working towards a common goal with other committee members. Volunteer service brings about experience in understanding how the association, the MLS, and foundation works. Strong networking that helps build relationships within our realtors. Development and growth from discovering business insights, increased opportunities that put you on the path towards greater leadership and service. And again, a sense of purpose that you actually contributed to the industry. That's why getting involved with Canopy at the committee level has meant so much to me personally and professionally. My involvement started in 2003 with the association's Leadership Academy and progressed over the years until being elected to my current role of President-elect, which has been one of the most rewarding highlights of my career. I'm thrilled to talk with my colleagues who served as chairs of committees at Canopy Realtor Association and the MLS this year, and gain their perspectives about being involved and engaged in the industry. Joining me today is realtor broker Abby Banner, chair of the Education Advisory Group, Valerie Belton, chair of the Canopy Diversity and Inclusion Alliance, Peter Gallo, Canopy's Government Affairs Committee chair, Todd Long, chair of Canopy MLS Advisory Group, and Jason Morton, chair of Canopy Housing Foundation Committee. Thank you all for being here. Let's go around the room, and I want to ask each of you all to briefly describe why committee involvement at Canopy is important. Peter, let's start with you.
Okay. Well, so Pete Gallo, chair of Government Affairs. If we're not involved with our local association, we really need to take responsibility for our profession and give back. And if we're not involved, our profession's really at risk. We have to invest in our profession and advocate for our profession. And if we don't do it, others will who don't necessarily represent us and do what we do every day. So like our esteemed past president, Lee Allen, likes to say, if you're not at the table, we are on the table. So it's important for us to be involved, not only to give back, but to make sure that the association and our profession is headed in the right direction.
Jason.
Good morning. Yes, this is Jason Morton. I'm your 2023 Canopy Housing Foundation Committee Chair. One of the things that I believe why committee involvement is so important at Canopy is our Realtor Association would not be what it is today without the leadership and service of our past members over the multiple decades since this association has been created. We've got the luckiness here of being in such a beautiful building that was the thoughts and the creation of past leadership. And certainly we wouldn't be able to be where we're at today without people who have served at the association level. So that's one of the things why I think it's very important to be involved, even at the committee level. We've got great staff here at the association, and it's really their help that helps to create and execute the ideas of our realtor members who are on all these committees and make sure that we are successful as an association.
All right. Abby.
I'm Abby Banner with Metric Realty, and I am the chairperson for the Education Advisory Committee. The reason why I think it's important to be involved in committees is that you're representing yourself. That way you're able to make noise or be a voice to create and advocate for other realtors who may not have the opportunity to volunteer, but to represent those who are not able to be a part of.
Valerie.
Hi, hello. I'm Valerie Belton with VRB Realty. I really have probably the simplest statement. Giving back and being involved in any committee on any level. I am the chair of Diversity and Inclusion Alliance, but on any committee, it is literally the easiest way to give back to an association that gives so much to us.
Thank you. Todd.
Todd Long, Keller Williams Unified in Iredell County. For me, it's really professional development. I was in the business for 10 years as a practicing real estate agent, a broker in charge, a coach of real estate agents. But this was another step along the journey in elevating my profession and getting to meet people outside of even our region as I've traveled with Canopy to other parts of the country. And being a member of Canopy leadership has given me that opportunity that I wouldn't have gotten otherwise.
All right. So, Jason, I'm going to bring this question to you next. Why are you drawn to this work and the committee you chair? And tell us the committee again.
I chair the Canopy Housing Foundation Committee. So the reason I serve and why I'm drawn to be involved at the association level, service has been ingrained within my life and just in me as a person throughout, even since I was a little kid. I've always been involved at the high school level. I went to ECU, where our motto is severe, which means to serve. And I've always wanted to, I think we're put on this earth because we all have different skills and we need to share those skills so that we can make things better as a whole. So the reason I'm so drawn to working with the Housing Foundation is because our foundation is what I call the heart of our association. A bunch of our other committees are great at serving the realtor membership and making sure that we are able to do our jobs on a daily basis. But our foundation, we get to help serve the community. And so that was an easy sell for me. I've always wanted to make our community a better place. And our foundation is working to address unmet housing needs, something that every realtor member can easily get behind because we believe in homeownership and just the human right of having a roof over our heads. And that's the work we do on an annual basis through the foundation. And so that's the reason I'm just drawn to it. It's very easy because, it's something that the work we do as a foundation, it really pulls at your heart and we can all make the world a better place.
Peter.
I take it personally. I think, like I've said at the when we had the big group that we were talking to, so I'm government affairs, and I've seen what government can do to professionals, and when they don't understand what an industry does, and operating as an appraiser over the years and seeing what's happened with appraisers. It's very hard for the rank and file realtor appraiser, realtor broker agent to describe what they do in 15, 20 seconds that you might have with a legislator. You really need an overall strategy, and you need the support and structure of an organization such as Canopy, such as NC Realtors, such as NAR, to advocate effectively for the entire profession in every way. And you have to be at, like we said, if you're not at the table, you're on the table. You have to be at every table. There's so many tables to be at, right? So you can't do that as one person. You can't do that. You need to get involved, get a movement going within the association on issues. You have to have awareness. You have to have the association have the awareness. You have to have your colleagues who are on your committee bring those issues to the table and socialize them in the association. Then you have to bring them up to leadership, and leadership locally, statewide and nationally, to advocate on our behalf. Now, as a chair, I'm in leadership, so I'm able to more effectively, I'm more the concentration of those ideas and that advocacy. And with staff, with the help of staff, leadership can interact more directly with staff. So as you move up and you get more involved, you're able to be more effective. And I think our associations do a great job of finding leaders and lifting them up and having the cream rise to the top. I see it everywhere. I see it here at this table. Everybody sitting at this table is very effective at what they do, and they're interested in what they're doing. And I think when you start out at the committee level, that gives you that opportunity to figure that out, what your interest is, and if you are interested, and then you can really go after that and really help your fellow realtors out and your fellow members out.
Thank you. Abby.
Hey there again. Thank you, first of all, for that compliment. That was awesome. So being part of and being the chairperson for the Education Advisory Committee, what I think the important piece is that you continue to learn. And it's not just about doing the continued education piece. It's learning different things. Like if you've been doing this 30 years, if you've been doing it 5 years, 1 year, the Education Advisory Committee keeps putting in new things and new ideas. And that's what's drawn me to it. I hope that I'm back a part of it again next year because I know that there's more work to be done.
Todd.
So this year I chair the MLS Advisory Committee, and what drew me to that as a committee person first and then moved into the chair role was I've always been a technology first mover, being on the bleeding edge of technology, be it electric cars or smart devices or crypto. I worked for Gateway Computers for 5 years, so I like that bleeding edge of technology. And when I was looking through the committees, the MLS Advisory Committee looks at all the technology that's coming to the MLS first. And that was exciting to me. And we get to vet a lot of products that I would never know about if I wasn't on that committee. And then we move that to the board level, and they get to decide if that's going to be a benefit to our membership.
Thank you. And Valerie.
Okay, well, much like what Jason said, I too have had a life of service in one capacity or another. The biggest thing that I get out of and what draws me to being in a committee, any of them, is I like to be in the know. I like to know what's going on, and I get that from my fellow realtors because inevitably someone in your committee is going to know something new about forms or know something that's coming up and that affects us directly as realtors. So that's one of the draws for me. And I mentioned before that I am a sole proprietor, and it is important for me to really be involved with my fellow realtors, and this is the way I get to do it.
Thank you. So Valerie, we're going to go with our next question. I'm going to have you start it off. If a member gets involved in these committees, What can they expect?
Well, they can expect to learn quite a bit, whether it's diversity and inclusion or any of the other committees. There is opportunity to grow in leadership by being a part of the committees, and that is where it happened for me. That is the reason why I had the opportunity to be part of the class of 2010, the Leadership Academy. And that is the reason why I had the opportunity to chair Educational Advisory Committee. So you can expect to just be well-informed and well-educated to being a part of any of the committees.
Thank you, Todd. Can you give us your feedback?
I wanted to make a mention first, the Leadership Academy. Look into that if you're thinking about getting into a role at Canopy, because it's a great way to get exposure to everything that's going inside of Canopy. But what can they expect? I've served on several different committees over the last 12 years or so, and most of the time commitment isn't that bad. On a committee, like MLS Advisory, it's usually a 2-hour meeting. Sometimes it's a 3-hour meeting if we have a new product to look at, but that's once a month. You'll get an agenda ahead of that meeting about 4 or 5 days out. You're expected to review that agenda and come prepared to speak on that topic. And then as the committee chair, I usually have an extra hour or so per month that I am on the phone or a Zoom call with staff preparing me for that meeting and setting the agenda and talking through our topics. And the staff does such a wonderful job of making sure I can run an effective meeting without having to do a ton of preparation work. So for most committees, I would say maybe a couple of hour commitment per month. Does that sound correct, all of you guys?
Yes.
Yes.
Okay. Jason, we're going to go to you next.
All right. I'd first like to say that if any of our realtor members ever want to know the value of their membership and what they get, join and serve a committee. It really opens your eyes to everything our Realtor Association is doing for our members. In terms of the Canopy Housing Foundation, we have 2 activities. One is being responsible for raising funds to allow us to do our annual events. And for our realtor members out there, we raise funds through our 2 quarterly solicitations. You've probably seen this on your Ramco billing statement. It's that optional $35 tax-deductible donation. And we raise money from our members through that. So if you ever see that on your statement, we want you to check that box. That's very important because that money, that $35, gets reinvested into our communities immediately the following year. And so in addition to fundraising through that and also our virtual holiday auction, we put on annual events. Some of those you're very familiar with. That's Realtors Care Day. That's Project Reach. That's also our Strides for Shelter 5K. So those are some of those events where we can give back some sweat equity hours and to our community. The last thing that's one of our most important activities is we are a steward of the funds that are raised. And so in the summer, we have a bunch of panels that meet for a couple hours, and we divvy up the funds that we're going to give back to community nonprofits that are addressing unmet housing needs in Mecklenburg, Iredell, and Haywood County. Every committee is different from each year. It's a new set of members, and we go through tons of applications reading about and learning about these nonprofits and these communities that are doing a lot of the tough things day in and day out to make sure that our community members are staying in their homes. They have a roof over their head. And so we get to look through that and we decide where we want those funds to go and to support. In addition to helping nonprofits, we also recognize adults and youth in our communities that are doing great things as well through our Humanitarian Award and our Youth Excellence and Service Award. Those who want to join the foundation, they can expect to meet each month for about an hour and a half. And it is a very rewarding and enjoyable committee, and you certainly will have a feeling of giving back to your community.
Thank you. Abby, tell us about yours.
So just to piggyback on what each person has already said, with the Education Advisory Committee, you can expect about 90 minutes a month. We meet like morning time. So it's the start of your day, and we make pretty good like progress, but I have to say that without staff, I just don't know where I would be, because basically they guided me through each and every meeting. So that's what you can expect is, yes, some work, but it's very rewarding. So would I do it again? Yes. I'm glad that I did it the first time and continuing to do it. I actually want to join another committee just by talking to this person beside me, because I just know I feel like I would be a plus. And and I just think, we as a group, I love the camaraderie. So that's what I think you get from it.
All right.
Yeah.
Peter, I'm going to go to you because your committee is a little bit different than other committees here at Canopy. Sure. And some people really want to know what's it like being a part of governance? So can you...
Government affairs,
yeah.
Well, I wanted to actually, I was on Todd's committee, the MLS advisory group, for a couple of years. And running a business and doing your business every day, you have these abilities and this knowledge. And when you come to a committee, you're able to use that knowledge in a different way. It's not just about, the bottom line. You're trying to, and you learn, like everybody's saying, you learn from others that are on that committee. Everybody has different ideas, and it really kind of enlightens you as a professional. You hear other perspectives. But MLS Advisory Committee was rewarding for me because the work that's done there, you're talking about the things that every one of us use every day, which is the MLS. And the advisory group is the one that vets all of the concerns that come into the clearinghouse that is Canopy and Canopy staff. And you're able to look at all those, and everybody talks about it. It's very, for me, it was very rewarding being on that committee.
It's a crazy diverse community of real estate agents, appraisers, property managers on that committee. It's pretty fun. Yeah.
Yeah. And so government affairs is kind of the same thing. I mean, and what we've talked about, it's your interests. So you wind up kind of going through these committees, and you have personal interests and professional interests. And so with government affairs, a couple of things that we did this year, one was had the county assessor, Ken Joyner, come in, and Brad Fowler, the assistant assessor, speak to us about the revaluation. And, and there was interaction, and there's a lot of, on our committee, there's a lot of different points of view, a lot of different concerns, and we all have, ideas as to what are issues that need to, and you're right there with the county officials to be able to talk. So that was something that Canopy is able to bring to the table. So we also had a community outreach person from the county come in at another meeting, and we talked about corporate investors buying up real estate in Charlotte. And everybody had something to say about that. And so it's about projecting Canopy outward to government. And just as it's done on the state and national levels, on our national level NAR, we had a great, and this is another example of just kind of what government affairs committees do, but from an association standpoint, the associations are the powerhouses that are able to bring the outsiders to us, and we are able to wear the association flag and project our flag outward. And so on the national level, we had federal regulators, national associations all down and sit at the table. And it was something that only the National Association was able to do, to bring all those people to the table. And so that's what you get with government affairs. You get the power of the membership, the power of the association, and we're ambassadors outward to the community and to the government, local government.
Thank you. I'm just going to ask you guys this one question. With you all serving, has it taken away from your business? That's the question everybody wants to know.
I think it's up to you how you handle that. But I think with all of us, like I just said, you get this awareness and you get other perspectives when you interact with each other, and your family grows, your professional family grows. And the resources you have. Somebody today at our meeting earlier was asking me about appraisals and about a transaction she had, and I was able to give her a name and number of another person that I sit on another committee with, who's good. So the networking is so important, especially with so many sole proprietors out there. You need to have that interaction.
I was thinking of this morning, and it's interesting, and I think a lot of people would agree. You know, outside of the Realtor Association, we all have our different firms. We're all out there, you know, selling. We have our competition and things. But one thing I've realized, when you come in through the association doors, we're all just Realtor members, and we're here to support each other. And I have made a lot of relationships that I can call on someone for advice, and they can help me. We're just all here to support each other and to help support the industry. And so that's just one of the things that I have realized at the end of the day through service that I've been able to obtain.
Yeah, I would add to that too. It's really nice, the connections you make with people that you wouldn't really run into or make a deep connection with. I mean, I don't know how many of you listening would like to be able to just pick up the phone and call Peter Gallo and ask him an appraisal question. But, you know, when you serve on a committee together, you have that relationship where, you know, you can ask questions of each other. It's helpful to my profession, actually.
So to answer that, just that question, no, it has not affected me as far as my business, because I'm still selling. I'm still representing the seller, representing the buyer. I'm actually making more transactions. Like now, whenever I go out to show a house or a property, if I see a fellow realtor, we start talking about the association. And actually, I met a person who was not really involved with the association, and now they are. So the answer is no, it has not affected anything. As far, you just got to put it on that plate correctly.
Well, I will say with 100% certainty that I have become a better realtor as a result of being involved and part of the committees, and because I get to get all the feedback from my fellow realtors.
Thank you all for your perspectives. As incoming president, today's conversation has been so vital and important to the future of our association, MLS, and foundation, because we really are a member-run organization, and the association is only as strong as the commitment from our members who serve and go on to greater roles in leadership. So thank you all for your service. Many of our leaders emerge through their volunteerism and work on committees, while others are graduates of Canopy's Leadership Academy. But no matter the path you take into service, just realize your service, whether civically or in the community or within the industry, is critical, valuable, and needed, because volunteers make the world a better place. Thanks again to each of my guests for sharing today, and thank you for listening. And my fellow realtors, to learn more about how to volunteer at Canopy Realtor Association and Canopy MLS, log on to www.canopyrealtors.com and click on Committee Volunteer Application, now open, under Canopy News, and the deadline is October 31st.
Thank you for listening to this episode of Inside the Canopy Files, presented by Canopy Realtor Association in Charlotte, North Carolina. Connect with us online at carolinahome.com.